My name is Marcus Harkis. I'm the Executive Director of Minnesota Norml. We're the state affiliate of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, a nonprofit 501c4 member-based advocacy organization. Our mission is to end Minnesota's marijuana prohibition laws. I'm not only the Executive Director of Minnesota Norml, I'm also an unashamed, unapologetic cannabis consumer. I smoke cannabis because it's a peaceful, unifying, and healing meditation. I reach higher heights without disorientation, hallucination, or adverse effects. Contrary to reefer madness, cannabis enhances my consciousness. It doesn't decrease it. Cannabis is an excellent natural stress reliever, and it's helped millions of Americans manage stress, anxiety, and depression. Countless veterans of foreign war have reported that THC is the only thing that effectively treats their PTSD, and it's definitely helped me to overcome mine. Cannabis is generally not for everyone. It's not advisable for young developing minds, but it does improve the wellness and quality of life for millions of people all over the planet. Cannabis is not a gateway drug. It's the safest recreational drug. It has a low addiction rate of 9%, lower than caffeine. And it has more than 200 medically therapeutic benefits. Cannabis should have never been prohibited in the first place. And we who are consumers, we need to stop being criminalized now. And don't be confused, because decriminalization is not good enough. Demand full legalization so that tens of millions of Americans who are otherwise law-abiding citizens can stop creeping around, fearing contact with police over these unjust prohibition laws. Yes, I smoke herb, and I get high, and I like it. And I'm a good, safe, reasonable, responsible, and very peaceful man. We're not criminals, and we shouldn't be treated like them. That's why Minnesota Norml exists. We're the cannabis consumer advocate. We're the formal advocacy organization leading the way for full legalization in Minnesota. We're working on building a statewide grassroots movement of the people to advocate for full legalization and regulation of cannabis at the Minnesota legislature. We're in the business of political organizing and, yes, legislative advocacy, lobbying. We're in the business of influencing elections, doing media advocacy, providing public education, and at times taking direct action. I've learned that a lot of people who are indifferent about these issues, they're just ignorant. They don't know that cannabis is not dangerous, but that the prohibition of it is. So in 2013, Minnesota taxpayers spent $140 million arresting 11,650 Minnesotans for marijuana crimes, 88% of them for simple possession. Criminalizing cannabis is senseless because it's the third most popular recreational drug in the U.S. after alcohol and tobacco, and by far the safest, the only of those that doesn't kill. Cannabis has so many medically therapeutic benefits that it's truly a wonder drug as an alternative medicine. Again, that's never killed anyone, unlike legal alcohol, tobacco, and big pharma drugs. The war against cannabis has disenfranchised 15 million American consumers and tens of thousands of Minnesotans. But it has failed to stop demand. It cannot stop the supply. It does not serve the interests of public safety. And it's a massive waste of law enforcement resources that corruptly fosters for-profit policing. Ending this senseless prohibition of America's #1 cash crop would save tens of millions of American lives and billions of dollars in wasted taxpayer money. Full legalization and regulation of cannabis for personal use by adults, not just medical, full legalization, will strengthen Minnesota's economy by creating thousands of new jobs and generating tens of millions of dollars in annual tax revenue. Listen, you don't have to like cannabis or approve of people smoking it to get high, but you should not support the criminalization of consumers. You don't want to be complicit in this drug war. The most compelling value of our movement is freedom. If you believe in freedom, then you should support full legalization of cannabis. Our advocacy for full legalization will mark the beginning of the end of this failed, senseless, structurally racist drug war. There's no good argument for it. The drug war is one of the worst public policies since Jim Crow segregation. So remember, when people say, why should we legalize it? You tell them that it's a freedom, civil liberty, social and racial justice issue. Tell them that it's about law enforcement integrity, accountability, and effectiveness. Tell people that full legalization of cannabis will benefit public safety, public health, and the economy. It's really a no-brainer. Our demands very clearly are to end this failed, senseless, structurally racist war against cannabis consumers by, at minimum, fully legalizing possession. You shouldn't even get a ticket for it, let alone get arrested or lose your freedom. We want to establish a fully legalized, equitably regulated, and reasonably taxed cannabis industry. We want to establish rights for personal home cultivation. And we want to provide amnesty, release nonviolent cannabis prisoners, and expunge the so-called criminal records of nonviolent cannabis consumers. So please support our Reefer Gladness Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign. Thank you. Peace and blessings.